Lily's muddy kingdom. The world smelled of petrichor and upturned earth. Lily, clad in her oldest overalls and a pair of bright yellow boots, surveyed her kingdom. The miniature stream that usually trickled politely through the back of their property had become a rushing river, carving miniature canyons in the soft soil. Perfect. Kneeling by the bank, Lily plunged her hands into the thick, dark mud. It squelched between her fingers, cool and yielding. This was prime mud pie material. She patted and molded, shaping miniature delicacies. A daisy became the centerpiece of a chocolate mud pie, a smooth, gray stone its fudge filling. She arranged her creations on a flat rock, a feast fit for a mud king. Across the rushing water, a particularly large maple leaf bobbed, snagged on a twig. Lily waded carefully into the stream, the cold water seeping into her boots despite their height. She freed the leaf, imagining it was a Viking longship, setting sail for uncharted territories. A ladybug perched on its surface, the brave captain of her vessel. "Safe travels, Captain," she called out, giving the leaf a gentle push. It spun in the current, then righted itself, embarking on its voyage. Lily's backyard wasn't just a yard, it was an extension of her imagination. The gnarled oak tree was a wise old wizard, the buzzing bees were busy messengers, and the earthy smell of the soil was the perfume of the forest queen. She felt a deep connection to this place, a sense of belonging that settled in her chest like a warm stone. A sudden shadow fell across her kingdom. Lily looked up, her heart sinking. It was Mrs. Davison, her mother's friend from next door, her face creased with disapproval. Mrs. Davison always seemed to find something to disapprove of. Lily braced herself, the joy of her muddy kingdom momentarily forgotten. "The HOA rules," Lily hummed, placing another smooth stone along the bank of her little stream. The water gurgled happily, reflecting the afternoon sun. She was immensely proud of how it was shaping up. "Young lady," Lily jumped, nearly dropping a fistful of pebbles. Mrs. Peterson, her face set in a grim line, stood at the edge of the yard, her arms crossed. The woman's perfectly coiffed gray hair didn't even quiver in the gentle breeze. "Mrs. Peterson," Lily said, her voice barely a whisper. "That thing," Mrs. Peterson said, pointing a manicured finger at the stream, "is a direct violation of HOA Regulation 3.2b regarding unapproved alterations to property landscaping. And let's not even get started on the potential mosquito breeding ground. You're creating a swamp, young lady, a swamp." Lily's cheeks flushed. "It's just a little stream. And I'm planning to add mosquito-eating fish. A stream that is making a muddy mess of the entire backyard, I might add. This isn't some rural backwater. This is a meticulously planned community. We have standards, rules." Mrs. Peterson's voice rose with each sentence. "That thing needs to be gone by sundown. Do I make myself clear?" Lily swallowed. The joy of the afternoon completely evaporated. She stared at the neat, unwavering line of Mrs. Peterson's mouth, then back at her stream, the sunlight now seeming to mock her. "Yes, ma'am," she mumbled, the word tasting like ash in her mouth. "The ditch is blocked." Lily bounded toward home, Croaker nestled securely in her pocket, anticipating the amphibian's reaction to her hand-built waterfall. Only yesterday, the little cascade had chuckled and splashed, a miniature Eden. She pictured Croaker's wide-eyed wonder. But as she neared the ditch's curve, her steps slowed. The playful sound had vanished, leaving an unnerving stillness. A knot formed in her stomach. There stood Mrs. Peterson, her face a rigid mask, methodically filling the drainage course with earth and stone. The tiny waterway Lily cherished, the one that ordinarily babbled cheerfully alongside Mrs. Peterson's immaculate green, was being methodically smothered. Murky water collected in grim puddles. Lily's voice caught. "Mrs. Peterson," she squeaked, barely audible. Without glancing up, the older woman muttered, eliminating an issue, as she hoisted another load of dirt. The grating noise of stone scraping against stone punctuated the heavy silence. Cautiously, Lily drew closer. Her waterfall had disappeared, entombed beneath a mound of debris. A surge of emotion, a bewildering blend of grief and resentment, flooded her. Where would the tadpoles find refuge? What would become of Croaker? But the stream, Lily began, her vision blurring with tears. The frogs. The insects. At last, Mrs. Peterson straightened, her weight supported by the shovel. "Those creatures are pests, child. And this ditch is an abomination. Think of it as progress." She offered a thin, joyless smile before turning back to her task, cutting off further discussion. The great backyard lake. The rain started innocently enough, a gentle patter against Lily's bedroom window. But soon, the sky unleashed its fury. Thunder rumbled, shaking the glass, and the rain intensified into a torrential downpour. Lily watched, mesmerized, as the world outside blurred into shades of gray. When the rain finally eased, an hour later, Lily raced outside, eager to see the stream behind her house. Usually, it was a gentle trickle, barely enough to float a leaf. Today, she imagined it would be a rushing river. But as she reached the edge of her yard, Lily stopped short, her excitement evaporating like steam. The stream wasn't a river. It wasn't even a stream. It was gone, swallowed by a vast, shimmering lake that stretched across her entire backyard. The grass was submerged, her small vegetable garden disappeared beneath the murky water, and the fence separating her yard from Mrs. Davison's was half hidden. Lily stared, her mouth agape. This wasn't the fun, adventurous river she had envisioned. This was a disaster. Then, a thought struck her, cold and sharp. The drainage ditch. Mrs. Davison had blocked it. The water had nowhere to go. Lily's heart sank. It wasn't just a puddle, it was a consequence. A consequence of Mrs. Davison's actions. And it was her backyard that was paying the price. Dad tries to reason. David found it as he was inspecting the slow drain in the backyard, a mound of dirt and river rock neatly piled in front of the culvert that led to the Petersons' property. He knelt, running a hand over the packed earth. There was no mistaking it. Someone had deliberately blocked the drainage ditch. He marched next door, a knot forming in his stomach. Mrs. Peterson answered the door, her face a mask of tight-lipped disapproval. Yes, Mrs. Peterson, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Someone has blocked the drainage ditch between our properties. Her chin lifted a fraction. Yes, I did. It was unsightly. David took a deep breath. But Mrs. Peterson, that ditch is crucial for drainage. When it rains heavily, the water flows through there and prevents flooding. Blocking it like this, it'll cause serious problems. He pictured Lily's carefully tended garden underwater. Nonsense. I haven't had any problems. Her eyes darted away, a flicker of something unreadable crossing her face. But you will. The water has to go somewhere. It could flood your basement, or my garden, or both. All I'm asking is that you remove the blockage, so the water can flow naturally. David kept his voice even, reasonable. He tried to channel the patience he usually reserved for Lily's more theatrical moments. I will not. I find the ditch unattractive and a breeding ground for mosquitoes. I've taken care of the problem. She crossed her arms, her expression hardening. Now, if you'll excuse me, the door started to close. Mrs. Peterson, this isn't just about aesthetics. This is about preventing property damage. David held the door open a crack. Please, just consider what I'm saying. The door slammed shut. David stood there for a moment, the echo of the slam reverberating in. The basement flood. The summer storms arrived with a vengeance. Thunder rattled the windows, and the sky wept a relentless, soaking rain. Lily loved watching the lightning dance across the clouds, but this felt different, angrier. One particularly fierce downpour had Lily venturing downstairs to the basement. The air hung thick and heavy, carrying a strange, musty scent. She wrinkled her nose. Her rubber boots squelched with each step. Squelched? Lily didn't remember the basement floor being damp. She took another step. Squelch. And another. Panic tightened her chest. Water. Everywhere. Her building block castle lay submerged, vibrant plastic bricks bobbing in a murky pool. Her favorite picture books, stacked neatly against the wall, were now bloated and warped. The water reflected the single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling, turning the basement into a distorted funhouse mirror. Daddy, she screamed, her voice cracking. Daddy, the basement is full of water. Mr. Chin rushed down the stairs, his face paling as he surveyed the scene. He waded through the ankle-deep water, checking the walls, the floor drain, his jaw clenched. Lily, stay upstairs, he said, his voice tight with a worry she hadn't heard before. He spent the next hour bailing water with buckets and towels, his movements growing increasingly frantic. Each trip outside to dump the water seemed to take longer. His shoulders slumped a little further. When he came back inside after one particularly long trip, Lily heard him mutter, "This isn't just rain. It's flooding." His voice was laced with a frustration that scared her more than the storm. Mrs. Peterson's secret. The rhythmic chug of a pump cut through the morning quiet. Lily, on her way to return the borrowed rake, paused by Mrs. Peterson's yard. Usually pristine, today it was a chaotic scene of mud and frantic energy. Mrs. Peterson, Her face red and slick with sweat, wrestled with a thick, black hose snaking from her basement window. Lily's stomach clenched. Something was terribly wrong. "Mrs. Peterson? Are you okay?" she called out, her voice barely audible over the pump's drone. Mrs. Peterson jumped, startled. She glared at Lily, her usual sharp gaze unfocused, almost panicked. "Just a little plumbing issue," she snapped, wiping her brow with the back of a muddy hand. Hesitantly, Lily approached the basement window. The sight that met her eyes made her gasp. Water, murky and brown, sloshed halfway up the walls, reflecting the dim light from a single bare bulb hanging precariously from the ceiling. Furniture bobbed like unwanted toys. The musty, earthy smell of soaked wood and mildew stung Lily's nostrils. Her gaze drifted to the flower bed that was now an extension of the flooded yard, then to the blocked ditch. The realization hit her like a wave. The ditch, designed to divert rainwater, was now a dam, backing up water directly into Mrs. Peterson's basement. The ditch. Lily started, but Mrs. Peterson cut her off. "Go home, Lily," she said, her voice tight. "This is none of your concern." But the tremor in her voice betrayed her carefully constructed facade. A brave conversation. Lily took a deep breath, the scent of chlorine from Mrs. Peterson's pristine pool stinging her nostrils. Approaching the wrought iron gate felt like entering a lion's den. She pressed the call button, the chime echoing with an almost accusatory tone. After a long pause, the gate buzzed open. Mrs. Peterson stood stiffly on the porch, arms crossed, her expression a granite mask. "Yes," she demanded, the single word sharp as shattered glass. "Mrs. Peterson, I need to talk to you about the ditch." Lily's voice wavered slightly. She pushed on. "The one you blocked?" The older woman's eyes narrowed. "I told you, that ditch was unsightly. I improved the aesthetic. But it's causing problems," Lily insisted, clutching the photos she'd printed of her flooded basement. "Big problems. Could I show you something?" Mrs. Peterson hesitated. Then with a sigh that suggested immense inconvenience, she relented. "Fine, but make it quick." Leading the way to Lily's basement, Mrs. Peterson's heels clicked impatiently on the sidewalk. The musty, damp air hit them like a wall as they descended the stairs. Lily flicked on the light, revealing the standing water, the ruined cardboard boxes, and the faint shimmer of mildew on the drywall. Mrs. Peterson's mouth tightened. A vein pulsed in her temple. She stared at the water line, then back at Lily, her face a strange mix of disbelief and dawning horror. This is because of the ditch. Unlikely friends. The next morning dawned bright and clear. Lily peeked through the curtains to see Mrs. Peterson standing at the edge of their lawn, hands clasped tightly in front of her. Her face was etched with an expression Lily couldn't quite decipher. Mr. Chen opened the door, a questioning look on his face. "Mrs. Peterson?" "Mr. Chen," she began, her voice unusually soft. "And Lily, I owe you both an apology. About yesterday. About the ditch." She avoided eye contact, focusing on a patch of grass. "I was wrong. It wasn't fair of me to blame you." Lily's jaw dropped. "Really?" "Yes, really." Mrs. Peterson finally looked up, a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. "And the water did come into my basement. Quite a bit, actually." Mr. Chen nodded. "We can help clear the ditch. Together." An hour later, the three of them were knee-deep in mud and weeds. Lily, surprisingly, found herself enjoying the work. Mrs. Peterson, initially hesitant, gradually shed her stiffness, her grunts echoing Lily's as they wrestled a particularly stubborn root free. The afternoon sun warmed their faces as they worked side by side. Once the ditch was clear, Mr. Chen produced flats of vibrant impatience from the back of his car. "Let's make this a bit more cheerful," he suggested. Lily and Mrs. Peterson exchanged glances, a silent agreement passing between them. Together, they planted the flowers along the newly cleared ditch, transforming it from an eyesore into a colorful border. As the last flower found its place, Lily couldn't help but smile. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something new.